It's the unofficial starting gun for the 2019 election campaign. Thousands of Liberal Party members from across Canada are in Halifax this weekend attending the Liberal Policy Convention. It's the last major governing of party faithful before the 2019 election actually unfolds. Lots of planning to do at this mid-mandate rallying point for the troops, focused on two themes: highlighting how real change is working for the party, and if it is, and how the party plans to rally behind its positive plan, as they call it, for 2019. David Axelrod was a senior campaign and presidential advisor to President Barack Obama. He is one of the headliners at the convention, and he joins us now with a sneak peek at what advice he will be dishing out to the Liberals. Mr. Axelrod, you know, this is a party that has a majority. They've been starting to fall behind a little bit in the polls. What advice are you going to give to Justin Trudeau and the Liberals about what they need to do in the next election?
Well, first is not to get too excited about the polls. You know, 1 year before Barack Obama ran for re-election in 2012, the headline on the magazine cover of the New York Times, Sunday Times, was, "Is Obama toast?" And they said that he had a less than 50% chance of winning re-election. And of course, a year later, he won a smashing victory, in part by not worrying about polling and focusing on his own message and what he wanted to communicate to the country, and on the things that he had done to strengthen the middle class and to deal with some of the economic pressures that people were facing. I think that's the opportunity that an election campaign provides.
Now, this is a government that made some really major promises on a number of files, everything from democratic reform to veterans to pot legalization. They've been struggling with some of those issues. How do you approach this as a majority government? It's one thing when they were saying, look, we're the fresh face, and this is positivity and hope and change, but it's harder to carry that message after 4 years in government.
Well, it's hard to govern. Governing is hard. I've been in government and I've been in campaigns, and in campaigns, you know, you control your message. You don't have to deal with incoming every day. You don't have to deal with the realities of governance, which require compromise, sometimes even within your own council. So, you know, that is the reality of leadership. But the truth is that the party also has a body of work, of accomplishments that they can run on, and many people probably aren't that clued into what has been done, because most people aren't focused on politics until they have to. People like you and I, you and me, we are consumers of this. Voters are living their lives, and so part of a campaign is to bring them up to date on what's been accomplished and where you want to go. Another part of the campaign is to make sure that they understand what the choice is, because it won't just be a report card on one party. It'll be a choice of direction between different parties with different offerings. It's important to bring that choice into focus.
And I'm curious to know the tone with that. Do you think that there has to be more of an attack ad kind of tone, more aggressiveness than there is when they were initially running and saying, look, we're the smiley, happy, transparent option? Does this have to be a little bit more aggressive?
I think it has to be more aggressive, but it doesn't have to be caustic. It doesn't have to be personal. It doesn't have to be the kind of grinding politics that we've seen in my country, for example. I don't think people are looking for that. They're certainly not looking for that from Justin Trudeau and the Liberal Party, but that doesn't mean that you don't lay out in clear terms what the choice is, and the direction that you've led, the direction you're going to continue to lead, and the direction that the other parties would take the country. It seems to me that's an essential responsibility of a party in the middle of a campaign.
I'm curious to know, what is the perception of Mr. Trudeau and his Liberal government around the world at this point? Because certainly he was really celebrated when he first came in. He was on the covers of magazines. He was a superstar when he went to all of these international conferences. It feels a little bit to a lot of people in Canada like that enthusiasm has cooled.
I don't know about that. You know, I think that, you know, I'm here because I admire him as an American looking north. I admire the progressive bent of his policies, and I admire the fact that he is an enthusiastic exponent of liberal democracy, which is under siege all over the world. And I think it's important that there are young, dynamic leaders who are not shying away from challenges, who are willing to move forward. He's certainly one of those. And I think people around the world recognize that.
Obviously, for Canada, our primary foreign relationship is with the United States. He had a very close relationship, Mr. Trudeau, with President Obama. Mr. Trump is a very different sort of president. How do you see the Canada-U.S. relationship right now between, in particular, the president and the prime minister?
Well, look, it's a tricky path to navigate because I think both Canadians and Americans value the relationship, understand that it's a primary relationship. And so if you're the Prime Minister of Canada, you want to maintain that relationship. On the other hand, Trump is he's a challenging personality. His posture on trade has been a challenging posture. And so, you have to represent the interests of your country as well. I think one of the things the Prime Minister has done that has been very smart is that he is not just relying on that relationship, but he's burnishing other relationships. He came, for example, to Illinois, and he met with the mayor of Chicago, Rahm Emanuel. He met with the governor, Bruce Rauner, and my understanding is he did that wherever he traveled in the states. And other representatives of the government are meeting with people across the country to build a constituency for the relationship. I think that's a smart strategy that will be meaningful.
We just have a couple of seconds left, but do you think that'll pay off for NAFTA?
I think that, and maybe I'm speaking more from hope than knowledge, but I really think there's a recognition that relationship is so important. NAFTA needed to be updated. It was 25 years old. The TPP would have done some of that. President Trump withdrew the U.S. from it. But there are issues that have to be resolved between the countries. But I hope there's a recognition that there's value in repairing and not scuttling this agreement. And things have been quiet on this front for the last several weeks. I take that as a positive sign. But, with our president, you're never quite sure.
Yeah, well, us either. We'll find out. Thank you very much for your time, Mr. Axelrod.
Good to be with you, Mercedes. Thank you.